Welcome to the Polishing Profits Podcast, where we discuss all things related to the business of detailing. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, this podcast is for you. In each episode, we'll cover topics ranging from business management to marketing solutions. Here to help you grow your detailing business, your hosts, Nick and Dustin.
Whoop, whoop. Let's go.
What's up?
Let's go. How y'all doing?
Happy Friday, fellas. Who do we got with us today, Dustin? Who's our special MVP this week?
The one and only Mike Carlin, please. From IGL Coatings and Fastlane Detailing. Is that right? Yeah, Fastlane
Great to
Detailing.
have you, Mike.
Easy in.
Yeah, that's right. Easy in. Hang on. It's gonna be,
So we're mobile. Yeah. We're mobile this week, right? We see the background. We see Mike there with a hurricane, but also a nice pool behind him, and then Dustin with his a little bit of different background. Where are you guys?
I'm at the office. I'm in the house inside our office, makeshift office that we have.
Yeah.
No, we're down in Panama City, man. We are getting ready to run a marathon tomorrow. And it's a very special one, though. We're doing it. Mike is doing it as his first marathon, but also to finish up his 3,000-mile goal. Tell us a little bit about that, Mike.
Yep. So this year I made that goal to run 2,023 miles, and then I quickly decided that we're going to make it 3,000 miles. So Dustin and I are going to cross the finish line at exactly 3,000 miles. So
that's wild. Oh, and the
nice touch. The timing was impeccable.
And it's partially hurricane weather out here. So
yes, let's talk about adversity. We have been dealing with a lot of adversity. It's going to be raining all day tomorrow. So, but Mike has a special rain suit. Chris, I don't know if we have a picture of Mike's rain suit he's going to be wearing, maybe, if we have that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there it is.
That makes some nice legs, though.
Look at the
he's testing out the traction with the bags there.
He about busted that tail earlier too. So yeah, man, we're down in Panama City, Florida, getting ready for that. Been down here for a few days, preparing, getting ready, and excited to be doing it. So
cool.
Yep.
What are we talking about this week?
This week, we want to talk about the difference, the mindset difference between a detailer and a business owner. We want to talk about the different mindset, the shift in thoughts. I don't want to talk about like super specific things you should be doing that differentiate. I want to talk about the things the way you think, the way that you approach your day, and how maybe those things blend together, how they you grow to a point where it's two totally different things. Maybe the business owner's not the detailer, but I think in our industry, it's usually a blend of the two. Usually, you are the business owner and possibly still detailing.
Well, or it's, and I think there's a lot of people in that detailing aspect and maybe struggling with, the business owner part of it. And that's something that just takes a lot of time and wisdom and experience to sort of grow and figure out that balance.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what does a business owner think about, and so then you kind of have paralysis by analysis. To see if I can
look at you with the
and so you're like, I have all these things I need to be doing. I don't do them. I'm just going to go back over here and do what I'm great at, and that's polishing the car. And so we want to kind of dive deep into that. But before that, we always got to do a little story time with Nick.
Yeah, that's now we missed last week, right? So we've got two stories this week. We're pretty excited. We'll be brief with them. But what happened last week? Why did we miss last week, Dustin?
Because Nick's a slacker.
Yeah, oh my God, I can't even believe.
We missed last week because we had our big Black Friday event at our retail store, and we didn't really think it through. But Chris was taking pictures with Santa, not like he wasn't.
Chris is a star. And don't put that on Chris. We could have made a show one way or another. But I just want to make sure I threw you under the bus to start, because you know what? The people were ready for last week's Black Friday show.
I know they were. I'm sorry.
Now for this week, since I saved my story, I got two of them.
Okay.
The first one is, we've been doing a lot of detailing and PPF and trying to figure out where's that blend between customer for details and customer for PPF. And is there, a combination of the two?
Yeah.
So this last week, as we're trying to mess with our, not our pricing, but more our menu style and our upselling and our sales strategy with that, we did a ceramic coating of Genesis 2018 Genesis G80, black, metallic, super scratched up. Came out great. And the B pillars, right, which is right up on the where the doors are, usually black, usually super scratched up. We could have polished them. They would have come out better, ceramic coated them, but they would have scratched again.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And someone that's doing a ceramic, they want that car to stay looking new. So we're thinking, listen, let's not even tell them. I know the customer. Let's not even tell them. Let's put PPF on the B pillars, the B pillar, the C pillar that gets really faded out, really scratched up, and let's just do it for free. If they hate it, right, for whatever reason, I don't want plastic on my car. We peel it off. We go and ceramic coat it real quick. But because of self-healing properties, and we explained it to them, they're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And the response from the customer was fantastic. Have you guys seen anything in terms of, mixing services in a way, right? PPF and detailing, or detailing and ceramic coating. And how do you guys sort of tackle trying to blend the two?
Mike, you want to tell? I mean, I know Mike has a different, he offers some other things along with his shop, but you don't actually do PPF, do you, Mike?
I don't do any PPF just because I don't have anybody to do it. But, there's, I think exactly what Nick is saying is important, because a lot of people that do the PPF, I've heard of them doing that, and just the things that it can not only protect but hide. And some people do it for hiding, like small rock chips or whatever, rather than doing a true paint and
touch
chip repair or whatever. But it's really no different than thinking outside the box. With our shop, we might include certain undercoating products or whatever with our services. So whether it be our IGL Ages or Eclipse wheels and frames. So you're just doing another, just trying to make a package that fits everybody at that point. And whatever you can adapt to well at your shop. So we decide to find something, with us being a smaller shop, that we can do relatively easy, and it can bring in extra income. They service each other well, I guess. So
absolutely. And if you think about growing the numbers, and you say, well, I want to see growth. Yes, you can pump more money into marketing and pump more money into new customers, but how can we get more out of our current customer base, and how can we get more out of the current business? So if we look at add-ons and ticket price, how can we increase ticket price by 10, 15, 20%? And that's stuff that we don't have to spend more money in marketing to do. We have to add, consider adding on services and upselling. I think it's an awesome idea. I mean, we were talking a little bit pre-show about it, and we have been wanting to bring PPF into our shop for a long time. Went down to the 10th PPF show with Lumar a few years ago. Me and my dad did, and we were very seriously considering it then, but just didn't. The training aspect of it was going to. Was going to be a bigger commitment than what we wanted to make at the time, because we were so busy as far as our staff was concerned. So when we think about that, bring it in on a small scale, like the pillars, just the front clip, maybe the mirrors, just the small pieces that we can do. That's very easy to do. Minimal products. So now you're holding minimal inventory, minimal trainings needed for that, right? I mean, you don't have to be the absolute best of the best to lay that. And now, we're adding a service without having that full commitment, And
I think the other part of it is now, again, let's say you're getting you're doing a bunch of interior detail. Let's bring it back to the detailing world, right? You're getting a bunch of shampoos, and you're like, that car is there for such a long time. Customers maybe dropping it off, leaving it overnight. Well, the car's already there. So that initial sale, right? That friction with the customer of like, hey, can I have your car for an extra hour? It's already there, right? So then adding something that will give them value. And again, if you're not doing PPF at your shop, but you want to do more ceramic coating, right? doing a 6 month or a 1 year, right? When the car is already doing a full shampoo. Hey, it's winter. You want to protect your car. Let's get a coating on there too at a lower price point, so that the price point isn't as much of an obstacle to get over, and you're able to upsell that ticket.
Well, a lot of it's introducing the customers what you're doing too. You may just be doing a pillar, but it's introducing them to something that they can have even more.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do at our shop, not with PPF, but auxiliary coatings.
Yeah.
You know, we're always after, everybody's always after a $2,000 ticket. And it's like, why aren't you after, if they can't afford it, let's get the $300 that they can afford. Maybe it's on a windshield or a whatever, another type of auxiliary coating.
100% agree.
That's what you're doing with your PPF, you know.
Yeah, and when you think about upsell opportunity, the customer's mindset when the vehicle's there, they've already spent the money that they were spent, like that money's spent to them. So to spend an additional $100 or $200 is easier at that point to sell than it is an addition, the initial $700 or $800 or $1,000 or $1,500, whatever. So you kind of inching your way into that bigger ticket rather than that sticker shock at the.
You already have the customer. This isn't just a fresh lead, right? You already have a customer that they have an appointment date. The car's coming in. They're already going to be there. They already trust you, right? So now you're going to look at that car and be like, what makes the most sense for them? And if they agree, they're going to add it on. And if they don't, then you know.
Right. And it's not like a high pressure sell or something that's like, you're not just looking to take money from it. It's something that they can have, that you can provide value and that the customer makes sense for the vehicle, but it also helps you increase the ticket price along the way. I think it's smart. I think that, like I said, when we were talking pre-show, it really kind of sparked the bulb in my head. It's like, hey, that would be a much easier way for us to get into PPF without having the commitment of full wraps and things like that.
I really like your point of the training. You know what I mean? Because for me, that was the main also secondary goal of it, is because you're able to get a lot of people with squeegees in their hand.
Yes.
Just to get used to using the product.
That's
what I mean? Without the
stress
of doing a full bumper, right? Or doing a hood, bulking a hood, which takes a lot of time and experience. You can get it. They can just get used to working with the product. And I think that's important without messing. And even if they mess up, it's a peel off, and you know what I mean? And your material cost isn't going to be that high.
That's right. Yeah, no, I think it's great. Look, you promised us 2 story times.
Oh my God. I mean, okay. Second story. We'll make it. Gosh darn it. Okay, Chris, cue the music. Only other story I got this week was hiring an extra employee. A really good applicant come in that really was like, listen, I'll come in, do whatever you need, whatever hours you have. I just want to work here. You know what I mean? Had someone that worked with her before and just really wanted an opportunity. And when someone comes in genuine like that, even though I don't look, my schedule is full, right? You figure out a way to get that person in your shop. And it sometimes can be stressful. If you're a smaller shop, right, and adding that extra person could be 10, 20% on payroll sometimes.
Absolutely.
But if you're thinking on that longer scale of, listen, this person wants to be here. Well, I would rather have them here than the guy down the street and figure out how to grow the business around them. So how do you guys sort of deal with adding an extra guy when maybe you don't need one?
Yeah. Mike, you want to jump in?
Well, I don't, we run a pretty small shop, but when I used to manage a large production facility, we had about 300 employees, and that was our philosophy, is we're always looking for the next best, and if you're not willing to hire somebody when that they're good, you're going to lose out on them. You may never see them again. So it's a very small investment at that point. It's the right time to do it. When that person comes in, you just pull the trigger and do it. Just like we should always be hiring our replacement is basically what we're doing. So when somebody good comes in, we're trying to hire somebody else's replacement, because somebody's going to leave, or they're going to do something stupid where they're going to be forced to leave at some point, whatever. But it also allows you to grow at different levels at different points.
I think you said something extremely important there, and I think that everybody needs to hear this. It's a small investment, not a cost, not an expense. Yeah. Right. Yeah. When you hire someone that shows the energy and shows the, what would fit in good in your shop, but has what you're looking for. Any money that you spend in that is not an expense. Now it is as far as Uncle Sam's concerned, don't get me wrong, but it is an investment. It's an investment into them, and it's an investment into your business, and that is money well spent.
You're very good. Your transitions are phenomenal, because think of it like that. That's a very good topic from detailer to business owner, right? Absolutely. The topic of the show is, hey, how many people that are detailers are necessarily investing, right? And having that thought process when they're really just focusing on working on the car versus that bigger picture, right?
Yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest difference in between, the detailer mindset and the business owner mindset. And Mike mentioned this pre-show, was like the planning of it, like the overall thought. A detailer is literally focused on each detail, each vehicle, each job. A business owner is thinking about the global aspect of his business, the bird's eye view. And I think that that's probably like the biggest mindset hurdle that you have to get over, is take out of that rabbit hole mindset of job to job and think, this is a business and these are numbers that are coming through the door. And then what are the things that I need to be doing to make this, profitable, efficient, and, reproducible, trainable, those kind of things.
And putting all the time into those specific things you just said, right, takes away from the time that goes into hands-on working on cars. There's no way to do both. There's only 24 hours in a day. It's that simple. You're either working on the car, and you can't be thinking about that other stuff when you're working on a car. No, it'll take away from the
but quality. But that's when you think about it. I'm telling you, it never fails. When you're polishing the car and you're like, oh, I should be posting, I should be updating my QuickBooks. I mean, you're like, all that stuff starts to turn. And
that's your Zen. That's where, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
You need to be doing.
I don't think I think about that if I'm working on a car.
I did.
What about you, Mike?
I think about when I'm running.
Okay.
No, but I do too, but a lot of times it's, what should I be doing? And I'm doing this.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's because I like doing that I like doing both parts. And it's hard to kind of branch off that and become a true business owner. Because at some point, I think if you grow, you really do have to step away from it, and we're priming our son to kind of do that at some point, and but I still like to do that. It's a passion. So like, I like to get a polisher in my hand and that, but I have to leave it just as a passion. I can't make it an everyday grind if I want to get to that next level. So what do we tell these detailers that are like, you know what? I get everything that we're saying, right? But they want to stay with the cars, right? They're the artist aspect of it. They really enjoy it, the passion aspect. And the money and the business and the entrepreneurship comes second. And I think that's okay to an extent too. What would you guys sort of say to the people that are like, look, I hear the marketing and the insurance and the expenses and the liability and all these different things I got to have in my mind. I understand that. But I want to work on these cars and these vehicles and do ceramic coatings or PPF or detailing and just have the polisher in my hand. And that's where I'm happiest. Right. What do you say to them?
Yeah, the answer to that question is derived from what that person wants out of this business. Okay. And it's really not a business at that point. It's just not. It's a hobby that's paying the bills. And it's something that you love to, which is great. If you get up and get to do what you love to do every day, then you've won the battle. But you have to determine, do you want to grow this thing and pass it down or sell it off? Is this a business that you want to grow or turn it into? Or do you just want to be a polisher and maybe you should go to work for someone? Now, either one is fine. If you decide that this is a business that, I'd like to pass to my son, like in Mike's case, okay, but I don't want to do the business part, then you've got to figure out, because it has to be done. Someone has to do that part. So you're going to have to hire or partner up or do something where you pass those duties on, unless you can come up with, like, if you can stomach up enough, like less hatred to decide to do it some of the parts yourself. It's really not a whole lot of things that have to be done to run the business. I mean, that's a lot. Once you know what to focus on, you can reduce it down to a few hours a day if knowing what to look at.
I think too is if that's what you truly like to do, then maybe the best thing is to hire somebody for the other part of the business to run it for you. And then the other thing is no matter what, I mean, as we get older, we know at some point you have to plan ahead because our bodies just can't do that forever. So, you know, when we were in our 20s, we thought too, like, hey, we want to do this forever. And then we get into our 30s and we wake up with sore backs and everything else. I mean, everybody, but that's detailed, knows that, you know. And so at some point, I think you have to face reality. Like, you may like doing this, but what are your plans to get out of it at some point? And if it's, like I said, if you're okay with it now, I still think if you want to grow that business, you need to hire somebody. And it might be somebody like, hey, Nick just came across a really good applicant. I don't really need anybody, but maybe he can help scale our business. You know?
Yeah. And you could look for the obvious chance, a significant other, wife, husband, that maybe, you know, maybe they're, they enjoy that part. They enjoy the numbers. They enjoy paying the bills. They enjoy thinking about marketing, and bring them into it where you can go focus on what you're great at and let them focus on that side of the business. You know, and listen, like, I think that we preach so much about, you got to treat it as a business. You got to treat it as business. You don't have to. Okay, you could just run this thing, and the problem is there's no end game. And at some point, like Mike said, your body's not gonna be able to do the things that it needs to do to pay the bills. So if you're not planning for that, if it's not putting more in the bank than you're spending every month, then you have no way out. And at some point, you got to stop. And so, you know, like, I think that's the part of the business that you say, okay, like, even if it's this size, I just need to make a little bit to put in savings. Well, then there's still planning, and then you got to go through slow seasons. And what happens when the market shifts a little? And you know, these are the business parts of it that you have to figure out. And it's a mindset. Like, you have to take the detailer hat off and put the business owner hat on, and deal with some of the things, such as your books, understanding your finances, your cash management, marketing, you know, pricing. I mean, there's so much there that happens around getting that job in the door and out the door, besides just the polishing paint.
I think one key thing is sort of if you're at that spot where you're detailing, you love what you do, and you're like, man, I hate making videos, marketing, doing the other aspects of the business. Taking that lump for what it is and getting it efficient, because it's almost like it's an arc, right? Because you're going to have that extra work and all that extra headache. But if you know exactly where you want to go, and you're like, look, I need to get this shop to doing this per year, right? I got to handle these headaches. But eventually you get to go back. You see what I'm saying? Eventually you get to go back to if that's really what you want to be doing, right? If you're there with 1 or 2 employees right now, or by yourself right now, and you're mobile, and you're on the fence of like, man, sustainability. What do I need to add more vans? Do I need to add more employees? Understanding that once you figure out what your actual goal is, and that planning that I think all three of us have said, right? Taking that extra, forget the business side, being a business owner is planning where you're going, right? Figuring out exactly where you want to be in X amount of years, and then just going. And then you're just going to go down that road. And if your goal is to be, hey, even though I'm older, I still want to be working on a couple cars, or I still want to be doing this or that, then you're going to get there. You know what I mean? Because you're going to go through those lumps of figuring out how to run this business and doing the parts you don't like, so you can do the parts that you do.
Yeah. And even when we talk about bringing someone in to do a certain aspect of it, that doesn't mean like you have to hire somebody full time. In marketing, I mean, there's so much that you can sub out, in a sense, or hire out and bring in at a part-time basis or as needed basis that can do that. What you have to do as a detailer that's running a business or attempting to run a business is, like Nick said, section those things off. What are the things that have to be done in order for this thing to grow? And what part am I going to take, what portions of that am I going to do? And so I like to, I'm working with some detailers now, and most of them are owner operators. In other words, they don't have employees. It's just them. Okay. And we've been able to reduce the time that they have to spend on their business to about an hour a day. So if you know the things that you need to be focused on, if you just spend 1 hour a morning from 7:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 7:30, and you can narrow down the things that you need to do and set a schedule for 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. You can handle the business aspect of it. It's not just this overwhelming thing that's 40, 60, 80 hours a week. It is when you don't know what to focus on, but you got to kind of, you've got to section it off into these, marketing, sales ops, things like that. And then be able to focus on those like those divisions or pieces of it.
What are your guys' thoughts on just being the business owner part of it, right? So when you're thinking of all those things you got to juggle, what is that best plan of action of going at, like you said, all these different departments, right? Yeah. And it's just you, and you're like, listen, I got 3 cars I got to do, but I've got these things I need to take care of this week. How do you guys sort of attack in your guys' life those business owner responsibilities? And I'll let Mike go ahead if you want to attack that one first.
I mean, obviously there's a lot of tools in our market, in our industry. Okay. Like I think like CRMs,
detail booking shout out.
Yeah. For a long time, we ran without a CRM, and it was always like playing catch up and trying to call customers to remind them about their appointment and doing this, doing that. And then we brought in a CRM. We were to the point where we were going to hire another person to make them calls and everything. So little things like that. Facebook. I mean, we know if we're going to advertise on Facebook, that may be time consuming, but we can always schedule a post. We don't have to always do it, when it's inconvenient for us. We can say, hey, I'm going to make a post. It's a Saturday. I'm going to make this week's post. It's almost like meal prepping. We're doing the same thing for a business. We have to figure out what we can meal prep ahead of time to open us up some time throughout the week. And that's not so stressful. That's what I found out as we started growing, is how do I take the everyday situations and be able to do it in maybe a period of time that I have, like a 3-hour block on a Saturday or whatever.
That's you said it right there. It's time blocking. And to section off time where you solely focus, just like if you were in the middle of that car, you wouldn't be making a Facebook post and paying a bill. You wouldn't be doing that. You have time blocked enough time to do a car, right? All right. The same thing has to be done for the business. You say, if you're not going to make a post and wash the towels and return a phone call all while you're polishing the vehicle, okay, then
that's not going to work.
Don't be polishing the vehicle while you're paying the bill. Okay, so you go and you block off the time and say, on Mondays, I'm going to, do my cash management, assign my bills to be paid, and I'm not going to worry about marketing. Okay, Monday's not my marketing day. Tuesday I'm not going to worry about bills. All those bills have been paid from, whatever that are due this week. Tuesday is my marketing day. And that 1 hour, I'm going to schedule out posts for the rest of the week. Wednesday is my, ordering products. I'm going to spend 1 hour getting my products ordered. Thursday is my payroll. I'm going to, and it's all reduced down and blocked off into time. And then it's just a systematic approach. It's an operating procedure for you as the business owner / operator to follow. And a lot of these guys, I think that you have detailers that say, well, I don't even know what those sections are. Like I just had to do everything. And that's right. Yeah, like it makes sense. But you can reduce it down to certain things that if you focus on, and then it's not just this endless amount of work. It's really not.
Again,
meal prep. That's right, prep. Marcus.
Yeah. Well, and I think all three of us here, we've had that experience, you know what I mean, to sort of work through it, you know what I mean, to get to the point where we do have a system that works. I don't do a lot of time blocking. I'm super inefficient with it. I'll be honest here. But I'm also not a meal prepper. You know what I mean? I am get home, right? Get the kid off the bus, right? And then I got a 2-hour window to figure out dinner. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like I planned which meal I'm going to make. I'm a little bit more just by the, just winging it.
Yeah.
When I have time, I got a list of stuff I got to take care of. And you know what? I don't want to do that right now. I want to do this one because I don't like that one. And then is that good? No, but it's honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just be honest.
It's reality. It's reality is what it is. And I think that same reality happens for all of us. Me, on the other hand, like my morning routine is everything to me. And that's where I check that's where I check 80% of the stuff that I have to do business-wise off the list. Of course, the other 20% lingers on throughout the day. Some gets done, some doesn't. But that first hour and a half of me time is so important. Like, it's so important and that's what keeps me on track. And it helps me free my mind throughout the day where I'm not thinking about, where we're at financially, where we're at, and, what's coming in the door, like what sales need to be made, like those kind of things. Now we can go put out fires, like we always talk about, Nick, for the company,
Well, and then everything you just said is absolutely right. And then you want to talk about detailer, manager to business owner, because then that extra I would say the most difficult part of any business is saying, okay, I'm doing all that, right? Putting out fires, all the things that are in front of me, right? Mm-hmm. But now you got to go figure out how to grow the business. Okay,
longer term.
No one else is thinking about that. No one else is trying to think of, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, hey, how can we make our menu more efficient? How can we get people that are doing details doing PPF? Absolutely no one else in the company is going to put in that. It's trying to do that, right? You can give jobs and responsibilities, but to go and create a thought and imagine it of where you want it to go, that's the business owner.
The thing is, a plan can't be made unless there's a target in mind, and you have to have an end goal, like a plan. Like, where do we want to be? What do I want from this? We started this conversation like you have to decide: do I want this to be a business, or do I just want to polish paint? If you say I want to make this to be a business, okay, well, we need to have in a year, 2 years, what do we look like? What does that look like? How big is this? Where am I at? Am I multiple locations? Is it a dollar amount? Whatever those things are. Now we have a target in mind that can be broken down into sections and then followed along. And that's where I think a lot of this stuff comes from, is having a planned approach, but you can't plan something that you don't have an end or a target in mind.
Well, think of it like this. When you're trying to make your business more efficient, and whatever that means to you is going to be different. But when you're trying to figure in all your time blocks, right, in how you guys manage your days, deciding when it's time to be like, look, we need to upgrade a POS. We need to bring in a CRM, right? To create that initial thought is probably the hardest thing because it's working, right? Let's say you're doing pen and paper for your appointments, right? And it's there. It's not efficient. It's not efficient, but the time and effort that goes into make, right, to a lot. You've got other fires to put out. You got a car to do. You got marketing. You got all those other things, and you time blocked all of them, right? Mm-hmm. When you get a free time block, right, and you can decide to go home to your family or sit there and research 16 different CRMs. That's the part that is just it's hard. It's really hard for a lot of people, Dustin.
It is. And it's hard for all of us. It's hard for all of us and look, I'm the world's worst. When you talk about work-life balance, I mean, like, you don't even want to get me going on that, because like I have none, self-admittedly. So like, I can't speak to that as much as, because my suggestion is let's do the research and do the work. There's at some point where you get to enjoy that, that time that's going to free up, but then there's always time to other thing. Mike, you have a very unique situation. You're forced to run it as a business because you can't physically work in that shop every day, right? You're traveling, you're doing these things. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, I have an awesome wife that helps with a lot of that stuff. But, one thing that I wanted to back up and talk about is, as owners, we have an obligation. And part of that obligation is not only to run our business, but we have to build people to that point that can help with the buy-in of a process. So, we talk about, like, if we want to introduce a CRM or introduce something new, we need 100% buy-in. And a lot of that could be as simple as, like, when I'm at Dustin's shop and he does a team meeting with the people, he involves them with every process. He lets them give suggestions, and that's what we need to do as part of a business owner. Because I always look at it like, my obligation is not only to run my business, but my obligation is also to feed the employees that are working for me.
Yep.
And that's why it's important for me to have 100% buy-in with them employees, is because they don't have to worry about when we don't make payroll. We do.
Right.
And we need to worry for them because they need to eat. My wife brought me a charger, but it's the wrong one.
It's the wrong charger.
Yeah, tell her I need one for my computer.
I just told her.
But like with us, I am away from my shop a lot, and it was just years and years of standard operating procedures. This is how we operate, and making everybody informed of this is how our business works. And then every year we also do a SWOT analysis of your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, so that we can change. And everybody has to be part of that. Like I would encourage people, if they have employees, like, hey, you're going to do it today. You're going to sit down for an hour. You're going to do a SWOT analysis. We're going to teach you what it is. And so that you can have some buy-in, you can sit down as a group and say, hey, this is what our strengths are, our weaknesses are. What's our opportunities? Because we need to make sure that we have an open mind as an owner, to listen to these employees, because we're not always right. I mean, a lot of times we're the ones that fail, because they're dealing with it every day. But we also, Dustin's very transparent with his team as far as numbers, and a lot of people are afraid to do that. But I think, Dustin, you have a good program too, like some, whether it be profit sharing or whatever. Yeah. So you're getting your employees involved in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps with buy-in for sure. I think you mentioned something, and it's like, man, I hope I didn't just lose it. You were talking about standard operating procedures and all that. And I think the first step to that separation is putting your pride as the detailer side and saying, I'm not you may be better than whoever you hire or whoever but at some point you need help. Okay. And whether they do it just like you, as good as you, whatever, you've got to start somewhere, creating separation and delegating those tasks, or else you will be the only person that does that. And you can't scale that way. So it's hard. It's like detailers as a whole, we're all the best detailer. Just ask us. And okay, but that doesn't get you anywhere. And by the way, only thing that you get out of being the best detailer, if you're lucky, is an award one time a year. All right. Yeah. Like there's in our shop, we're not handing out daily awards for who's the best detailer. Right. That don't matter. And nor does that pay the bills. I can't go down to Alabama Power and say, guys, I don't have the money, but I am the best detailer in the city. I
like that. That's a good way to end it. That's a good way I like that. So, fun show. I think we covered a lot of good stuff just for people to sort of listen through, and sort of digest there. You guys got any, questions, let us know, reach out. But I think it was a really good, productive show. Yeah. Loved having Mike on. Mike's always great to have on.
Final thoughts too is like for somebody that's sitting there, like, I still don't understand how I get it. The separation is like, it's not that much. Is you can reach out to somebody like myself, Nick, Mike, whatever, and talk about the division, the things that you need to be thinking about along with your detailing, kind of section that off. And I think that you'll realize that there's less to it than you're thinking as far as that separation. But absolutely, as far as questions and comments, I mean, we're always here to help too.
Cool.